Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of Project Evo 722. This is going to be the first episode in our Automotive Founders episodes. Today we are talking about Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota Corporation, one of the biggest automotive juggernauts that we have in the world at the moment. And I'm going to tell you how this guy grew up from being a local farm boy all the way up to being one of the best inventors or the greatest inventors in Japanese history. Before we start doing that, I gotta say a special thanks to our sponsor, Overtake USA. Head on over to overtakeusa.com. If you are a Subaru enthusiast that wants parts from Subaru enthusiasts, for enthusiasts, by enthusiasts, go see Art and the boys over at overtakeusa.com and tell them Devin sent you. Alright guys, let's get into Sakichi Toyoda. Sakichi Toyoda. You hear I said that? Toyoda. Toyoda was the founder of Toyota Corporation. Now, Sakichi was born in 1867 into a small farming family in Japan. He worked early years of his life as a carpenter after going to school, and then in his early 20s, traveled to Tokyo for the third annual Tokyo Machinery Exposition, where all these different inventors from all over Japan would come to Tokyo and show off their inventions. And most of these inventions were industrial inventions, like wire, like wiring looms and like different types of like assembly line products. So with that being said, Toyota spent the next 3 months at this exposition basically looking over all the different designs and taking notes until he perfected his craft, which gave birth to his first Toyota wooden loom. Now this loom was very, very special. It was the first one-handed loom in Japan, meaning you didn't have to use all your limbs to operate it, which was insane at the time. Over the next couple of years, Toyota would struggle, going through major life struggles, and the one thing this man did was he always kept his eye on his invention, bettering the invention, adding more things to it. He had one of the first ever Toyota multi-purpose looms, which basically what it was instead of just having one loom, you had multiple looms on the same operating system, so you could still use one hand but operate 3 different looms at the same time. So this was big. He also built a couple different textile milling machines over the next couple of years. One of the biggest things he did was, the biggest problem with these textile looms were once the loom got to a certain spot, the textile would run out and you'd have to stop, reload it, and start back up again. This was terrible for production. So what he wanted to do to increase production was he then helped design and create the first ever auto reloading textile loom. So basically, as the shuttle would come across, it would pick back up new loom fabric as it was fed in and pull it back into the loom, so the loom could continuously run throughout the day without having to stop for reloading, which was huge for the company. Over time, they started adding into things, and this is where you start getting into the automotive stuff. They started adding in different things like steam engines and gas-powered stuff to operate these looms and auto-operate these looms. And finally, after a couple of other failed businesses with other business partners and smaller textile companies, in November 18th, 1926, Toyota founded the Toyota Industrial Corporation, or Industries Corporation, which is the parent company for Toyota Motor Company. With that being started, it was only a couple of years later when they started creating these electrical looms and these automatic looms, where like the looms could pretty much do them by themselves, and all the humans were there to do is set the textile in the loaders, hit it, and it would just do its own thing. Cornerstoning that production manufacturing in Japan, unfortunately, Sakichi Toyoda would pass away in 1930. Toyota Corp was still building textile milling machines until 1933, when Toyota expanded the company to incorporate an automotive department. In 1934, the first Toyota automobile engine was produced. The following year, the first two vehicles, Model A and Model G1, were produced, which I have pictures up here in the top corner. And then in 1937, the auto department would split into the Toyota Motor Co. that we know today, which is the global juggernaut. And this man, his motto and his company motto: always be faithful to your duties, thereby contributing to the company and to the overall good. Always be studious and creative, striving to stay ahead of the times. Always be practical and avoid frivolousness. Always strive to build a home-like atmosphere at work that is warm and friendly. Always be respectful of spiritual matters, and remember all the grateful at all times. Was the company motto for Toyota, and still is to this day. And the man, the founder of this, the steadfast guy who kept striving to better his product, better his invention for 63 years. To this day, his birthplace is a museum to the life of this great man. And unfortunately, he would never see his first car be built. And the Toyota industry would go on to become, as many of us know now, one of the biggest automotive manufacturers in the world. And getting into a little tidbit of how they did this, Toyota would come out after World War II, when the U.S. was helping rebuild Japan and Japan's economy, and use leftover parts from, leftover vehicles and whatnot from the U.S. military, some GM parts, to manufacture and retrofit different styles of vehicles. And they would keep testing these until they could come up with a better and more durable concept, which is what they still do to this day. Not saying that they're retrofitting with GM parts, but they are retrofitting constantly to learn about what they're building and create that longevity that everybody expects from their product. And this is why they care so much about their product. It's almost spiritual in nature to how they create their product. And that's why they have such a great vehicle. I mean, anyone who knows anyone who drives a Toyota, those damn things run until, as long as you keep freaking oil in them. Like, they could be puking oil, and you could keep putting oil in it. I mean, shit, my wife has a 2015 RAV4, has 180,000 miles on it, and I put, I think, a wheel bearing in it. It was the last big maintenance I needed. So, I mean, you can tell why. You can see it in the notes. I mean, this is one of the hardest, not gonna lie, this is one of the hardest videos that I have done so far, because I've done about 6 months of just straight up research on Toyota, and I wanted to condense this into something that you guys would actually could sit down and watch, which was incredibly stressful, I'm not gonna lie. But getting back to Toyota here, they really hit the market when in 1970 the U.S. was going through a fuel crisis, and they decided to bring their fuel economy cars over here, like the Corolla. And when they got this stuff over here, the family started buying these things up like crazy, because of the fuel economy. Back then, like, you guys got to understand, like, some of these younger guys now don't take it for granted that you can just go to the gas station on any day of the week. Back then, depending on what your license plate ended with, whether it was even or odd, that's the day you had to go get gas, because there was such a gas crisis, a fuel crisis back in the 70s. And Toyota took that opportunity to bring a car into a market that was kind of sketchy for them, took the risk, and took off. And now look what they're at now. I mean, later in Toyota's career, or later in Toyota's corporation's life, they will, create great cars like, that we take for granted in the tuner culture, like, your Toyota Celica, your Mark IV Supra. All these vehicles have the spirit of this company and the people that work for this company. And one of these best things about Toyota and what he did was, if you showed initiative in his companies, if you showed your work ethic and you showed drive, they would promote you. I mean, hell, there was a guy right now that sits on Toyota's board. I remember reading an article about this, that started working as a lube tech in a Toyota dealer in 1978. And now he got promoted all the way up from being a lube tech at a Toyota dealer to being on the board of the company in Japan. This is a kind of culture that great companies are built on. And it's all thanks to the founder, Sakichi Toyoda, that put his mindset and his work ethic and his culture into the company that he loved, into the manufacturing that he loved, which that now blossomed into this great company. This is the first episode, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out the links in the bottom for Overtake USA. Check out our sponsor for their parts. Also, if you want to do some more Toyota reading, I will post a link to the full Toyota backstory company, or the backstory to the company, also in the bio for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I didn't want to go on for 20 minutes or 30 minutes on something like this, because I feel like you guys wouldn't watch the whole thing, and I feel like you guys would get bored after a while. But if you guys want me to do a second half to this and get into the start of Toyota Corporation as a car company, and then into when they basically did their global takeover, I will do that too. Just let me know in the comments. Like, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.